Coronation Street tease that Todd Grimshaw's carefully ordered world is about to unravel in ways he never imagined. It begins on an evening where hope and tension intertwine, casting long shadows down the cobbled terraces as dusk settles over the street. Theo Hawthorne, Todd's warm-hearted partner, has been planning a special night, a chance to reclaim some normality after weeks of whispered rumors and sidelong glances. Little do they know that Noah Phillips, ever the schemer, has laid a trap so cleverly disguised that only when the pieces snap into place will the true danger become clear. From the moment Theo slips out of the Rovers with a gentle smile, clutching a small bouquet of wildflowers he picked himself, the air seems charged. Todd waits by the wrought iron gate of Evelyn's garden, nervously smoothing the lapels of his blazer, the glow from the street lamp painting his anxious features in golden hues. He casts a hopeful glance toward the entrance, anticipating Theo's arrival, yet elsewhere someone watches from the shadows, lips curled into a satisfied smirk. That someone is Noah. Their date begins under a canopy of wisteria, table set with candles and a simple but elegant meal. Todd, for once, relaxes, the hum of passing cars, the scent of summer blooms, and Theo's soft laughter wrap around him like a balm. Fingers entwine over the tablecloth as they share memories of their first meeting, the candlelit moment in the taxi office, Theo's awkward confession about wanting a fresh start, and Todd's relief when he found someone who saw beyond his troubled past. In this moment, everything seems possible. But Noah's scheme unfurls with frightening precision. He approaches, feigning a friendly smile, clutching a crumpled leaflet. Save your soul, find redemption today. Before Todd can protest, Noah thrusts it into Theo's hand and launches into a rehearsed spiel about sin and salvation, his voice louder than necessary. The romantic spell shatters. Theo's brow furrows in confusion, Todd's jaw tightens. Guests nearby turn, curious. Starlight dances in Theo's eyes as he gently tries to take back the leaflet, but Noah's steady grip prevents it. Please, Todd says through clenched teeth, voice low but trembling with anger. Not tonight. Yet Noah presses on, his tone sanctimonious, as though this interruption is an act of kindness. He steps closer, pressing the paper into Theo's chest as though it carries some divine weight. The words on that leaflet, pleas for spiritual awakening, dire warnings of eternal punishment, feel like a cruel joke in the hands of someone bent on causing pain. Theo's breathing quickens. He glances at Todd, eyes wide with mortification and frustration. In that instant, Todd sees more than the leaflet. He sees how deeply Theo cares, how tenderly he smiles despite the intrusion. And there is rage in that vision, a man ready to defend the person he loves. But Todd holds his anger in check, curling his fingers into a fist under the table, desperate to shield Theo from further humiliation. Noah steps back, congratulating himself on a small victory. Yet, for all his bravado, he senses Todd's fury simmering just beneath the surface. He has provoked the wrong man. Theo, cheeks flushed, tucks the leaflet away, as though to deny it any power. Let's go, he whispers to Todd, voice shaking. Their retreat through the garden arch is hurried and silent, two lovers seeking refuge from a storm they did not create. Behind them, Noah exhales slowly, already turning over the next phase of his plan. He has played one card, now it is time for the coup de grace. He makes a call, voice low and conspiratorial, summoning an ally who shares his vendetta against Todd. Within the hour, whispers will spread, rumors will fly, and in the midst of it all, a single recording will rise to condemn one man and leave another torn between loyalty and doubt. Back in the safety of their flat, Todd paces while Theo attempts to calm him. Theo's hands hover above Todd's shoulders, soothing but hesitant, as though he fears that a single wrong move might unleash Todd's ire. His obsessed, Todd mutters, lining up empty bottles on the coffee table. Obsessed with what? Us? My past. He's trying to hurt you by hurting me. Theo's light laugh belies his unease. He's twisted, he agrees, but we'll ignore him. Let him rant to an empty room. They hold each other that night, drawing strength and intimacy, but in the deepest corners of their minds, unease nestles. Theo dreams of cryptic threats scrawled on fogged windows. Todd awakens to phantom footsteps outside their door. In daylight, they pretend the world is normal, but tension lurks behind every pleasantry exchanged on the cobbles of Coronation Street. Meanwhile, Noah's pawn slips quietly into position. He is a familiar face, a friend of Billy Mayhew's, who volunteers to meet Theo under the guise of sympathy. He offers a listening ear, speaks of spiritual crises and moral obligations, all the while probing Theo for vulnerabilities. Theo, ever trusting, explains how the leaflet shook him, how the memory of the sermon he skipped last Sunday comes back to haunt him. He confesses shame over neglecting his faith, hints at doubts about his own worthiness. The pawn listens, nods, builds rapport. Then, when Theo is most candid, he surreptitiously turns on his phone camera. That evening, Theo texts Todd. I talked to someone about everything. I feel a bit better. Todd replies with relief and kisses him more passionately than ever. They plan a simple night, cooking together, perhaps watching an old film. But the footage, hidden, silent, damning, waits on a micro SD card in the conspirator's jacket pocket. In the days that follow, subtle changes ripple through the street. Paparazzi-style rumors surface. Did you hear Todd lost his temper again? Something about an attack. Heard he went off his rocker. At first, Todd dismisses the gossip with a sardonic grin, certain no one would believe some out-of-town stranger's tale over his own measured reputation. But then the name Noah keeps cropping up, and soon, it's not just rumors, it's a question of credibility. Late one afternoon, as rain sluices down the windows of the cafe, Todd sits opposite Billy Mayhew. Billy's brow is furrowed, concern etched in the lines of his face. Billy has always stood by Todd, championed him, even when Todd's past mistakes cast long shadows. But now Billy seems torn, his faith in Todd tested by unsettling hints of violence. Todd, he begins softly, someone told me you had an incident with Noah. Todd's jaw tightens. It's not what you think. But Billy's eyes search for truth. I just want to make sure you're okay, and that Theo is safe. In that moment, Todd feels the walls closing in. He wants to confess everything. How he snapped when Noah humiliated Theo. How the blow he landed was reflex, defense, love, but pride and fear keep his lips sealed. Billy nods, but the tension remains. Word has reached the police, too, a complaint lodged by Noah's companion. It hints at assault, violence, and now legal proceedings loom. Todd feels the weight of possibility, being hauled into a station, photographed, questioned, fingered as the aggressor. His heart pounds at the thought of Theo watching, powerless to stop his world unraveling. Noah, meanwhile, watches with perverse satisfaction. His trap is working flawlessly. Todd's reputation is smeared. Theo's trust in his own judgment wavers. Billy's loyalty is strained. The final act is about to begin. Theo, caught between love and caution, confronts Billy in the confessional at the church. He'd never hurt me, Theo insists, voice breaking with frustration. Noah set him up. Billy, torn between his duty as a man of faith and his loyalty to his friends, replies gently, Theo, my friend, you know I stand by you both. But if Mr. Phillips is telling the truth, Todd could be in serious trouble. Theo shakes his head. Billy, his friend is biased. Just because he thinks I've lost my faith doesn't mean Todd is violent. Billy places a hand on Theo's shoulder. I know you two love each other. But you must face reality. Theo's eyes blur with tears. He storms out, leaving Billy alone, torn. On a bitter morning, Sirens streak the sky as two uniformed officers step onto Coronation Street. They pause before the Hawthorne's door, their expressions polite but firm. Todd flees toward the horizon, desperate to avoid the confrontation, but the officers catch up. Terence Grimshaw. One asks, voice crisp. Todd freezes, heart pounding. The community gathers at a respectful distance, Len Fairclough's former corner, Rita's doorway, eyes wide with curiosity. Todd straightens his jacket, gulps down fear, and faces the inevitable. Theo watches from a safe distance, dread coiling in his gut. The police request a statement about the alleged assault. They brandish an image captured on a smartphone, Todd's fist connecting with Noah's jaw, Noah stumbling backward in feigned agony. Theo's breath catches. He recognizes the angle. It must be Noah's accomplice's handiwork. But can he prove it? The officers scribble notes. Todd is advised of his rights. The word caution hangs in the air, oppressive and final. Across the street, Billy stands framed in the doorway of the cafe, anguish written across his face. He wants to intervene, to denounce the whole charade, but procedurally, the officers must follow through. He watches as Todd, shaken, tries to explain. It was self-defense, Todd says, voice rough. Phillips provoked me. He humiliated my partner. The officers exchange glances, neither judge nor jury, but bound by protocol. We'll need to take a formal statement, one says. Theo steps forward then, heart racing. His love for Todd overcomes his fear of public spectacle. He speaks rapidly. Noah Phillips is a liar. He orchestrated this. He disrupted our date, handed me that vile leaflet. He pushed us to the edge. The officers regard him with polite skepticism. We'll take your statement, sir. Theo feels the weight of everyone's gaze, some hopeful, many unsure. For the first time, he senses that trust is a fragile commodity. When the officers leave, official paperwork in hand, the street exhales. Todd stands rigid. Theo closes the distance between them and enfolds Todd in his arms. I'm so sorry, Theo whispers into his hair. Todd's shoulders shake, not with regret so much as relief at having Theo by his side. Yet in the recesses of his mind, he knows this is far from over. The smear campaign has only just begun, and his world feels perilously unmoored. Later that evening, Billy confronts Theo in the partly lit sanctuary of the church, rows of pews stretching behind him like silent witnesses. Theo, he says firmly, voice echoing on stained glass, you must consider, maybe this isn't safe. For you or Todd. Mr. Phillips has shown he won't stop. Theo flinches at the implication, anger mingling with hurt. Are you asking me to? Billy's eyes glisten. I'm asking you to think of your well-being. Todd's future is uncertain. Theo's heartbeat drums. So I should end things. Billy's lips tremble. I wouldn't ask this lightly. Theo pulls away, face pale but resolute. I love Todd. But I can't keep watching him dragged through the mud. Billy sinks onto a pew, head in hands. Theo retreats into the night, footsteps echoing through the empty street. Somewhere, a clock chimes, marking each second of decision. Theo's mind races, fight back or walk away. Stay and weather the storm, or find a new beginning elsewhere. As dawn approaches, Theo returns to Todd's flat, the morning light casting long beams across the floorboards. Todd sits on the edge of the sofa, eyes hollow. Theo kneels before him. I spoke to Billy, he says quietly. Todd's expression flickers between dread and anger. Theo takes a breath. He thinks we're in danger. He thinks, he falters. Todd's hand grips Theo's. What are you saying? Theo swallows. Maybe we should move away. Somewhere Noah can't find us. Todd's gaze drifts to the window, where the first rays of sun promise both a new day and an uncertain future. He closes his eyes, weighing love against safety, knowing that the choice he makes in the next heartbeat could change everything. Todd's world had narrowed to the soft glow of early morning as he and Theo packed the last of their belongings into battered cardboard boxes. Dawn light slanted through the dusty blinds, illuminating the faded wallpaper and the scars of countless arguments. Neither spoke as they folded shirts and stacked photo frames, snapshots of happier days, the taxi office where they first met, the garden where Theo surprised Todd on his birthday, the sofa strewn with popcorn after late-night movies. Those memories felt distant now, tainted by Noah's machinations and the weight of suspicion that had clung to Todd like a second skin. Theo broke the silence at last, his voice tremulous. "Do you think it'll work? Hiding ourselves somewhere new?" He placed a careful hand on Todd's arm. Todd nodded, swallowing hard. "We'll build again. Somewhere no one knows us." Yet even as he spoke, Todd knew the truth: you could run from whispers and gossip, but not from the past. They slipped out of the flat at exactly 7 o'clock, the street still bathed in quiet. Theo carried the boxes, Todd followed, shoulders hunched as though burdened by more than mere cartons. Their cab arrived without fanfare, and they climbed in, avoiding each other's gaze. As the vehicle trundled away from Coronation Street, the familiar chimneys and shop fronts receding in the rearview mirror, Theo felt a pang of grief, so acute it took his breath. He reached across and took Todd's hand, squeezing it gently. "We'll be okay," he whispered, more to convince himself than Todd. Meanwhile, back on the terraces, Billy Mayhew stared at an empty pew in the church, feeling the chill of abandonment. He had watched Theo leave and felt a hollow ache. His faith told him to offer sanctuary, but the sanctuary he needed most was between those two men. Guilt gnawed at him. Had he been too cautionary, too quick to doubt Todd? He rose abruptly, resolve hardening. He would find them and make amends. Noah Phillips, meanwhile, sat in the cafe with a smug sense of victory. He believed he had dealt the final blow. Todd was in hiding, Theo torn between love and fear, Billy estranged. Noah's lips curled as he toyed with his phone, sending a cryptic text to Theo's number: "We all must face our sins. I'll pray for you." He imagined Theo lying awake in some anonymous flat, guilt-ridden. But a catalyst he had not foreseen was stirring: Billy's resolve. Theo and Todd traveled to a sleepy coastal town several hours away, settling into a small rented bungalow overlooking the grey North Sea. The decor was sparse: 2 single beds, a chipped bedside table, a dresser missing its top drawer, but from the window, the waves rolled with a promise of renewal. They unpacked in silence, the awkwardness of displacement settling between them like dust. Finally, Todd set down the final box: books, clothes, keepsakes, and faced Theo. "I'm sorry," he said, voice low, "for dragging you into this." Theo shook his head. "No. You were protecting me." Todd ran a hand through his hair, frustration flashing in his eyes. "I should have stopped myself. The police, everything." Theo crossed the room, wrapping his arms around Todd. "I don't blame you. I love you." Todd closed his eyes, leaning into Theo's warmth. For a moment, the storm outside seemed distant. They ventured out that afternoon to explore their new surroundings: a faded promenade, a cluster of pastel-fronted cafes, and an old pier stretching into the wind. Holding hands, they ordered hot chocolates and bundled themselves against the chill. Strangers smiled at them, offering nods that made Theo's heart tighten. The kindness of anonymity was both soothing and strange. Todd, for his part, kept his gaze low, as though wary any moment someone might recognize him and demand answers. That evening, as they prepared a simple dinner, Theo broached the subject of faith, the thing that had ignited Noah's crusade. "I've been thinking," he said, chopping onions at the counter. Maybe I do need to find my way back to something that Noah can't twist. Todd stirred the pasta sauce, glancing at Theo. If it helps you, I'll support you. Theo's hand hesitated over the chopping board, then he smiled faintly. I'm going to start going to church again, if only for me. Todd nodded, relief softening his features. Good. They ate in companionable silence, the lull of waves beyond the window their only soundtrack. Meanwhile, on Coronation Street, Billy Mayhew stormed through the cafe doors, coat flapping and determination radiating from his every step. He paused only to pull out his phone and dial familiar numbers. One call went to Jim McDonald, another to Rita Tanner. I'm gathering a caravan, Billy said tersely. We're bringing Todd and Theo home. He could almost see the disbelief on their faces, but he knew they would help. The community that had turned its back would be reminded of the good they once knew. Noah, growing restless, decided to press his advantage. He called the local police liaison again, feigning concern for his injured friend, ensuring that any exonerating testimony would be quashed. His phone buzzed with replies, a promise of more statements, more pressure. He smiled. Soon, they would orchestrate a hearing, safe in the knowledge that every piece of evidence pointed to Todd's guilt. But Noah underestimated the bond between Todd, Theo, and their friends. That very night, under cover of darkness, a battered van pulled up outside the bungalow. Lights flickered on inside, and Todd's heart slammed against his ribs. He opened the door to see Rita's kindly face framed by the threshold. Behind her stood Jim, Carla, and an unexpected figure, Billy. Tears sprang unbidden to Theo's eyes as he rushed forward. Todd, stunned into silence, watched as the team of supporters crossed the threshold, arms outstretched. Home, Billy said simply. The word vibrated in the cramped living room. Theo embraced Billy, voice choked. How did you find us? Billy smiled wanly. You can't hide faith, or love, for long. Jim clapped Todd on the back. Ready to clear your name? Carla's eyes were bright with fierce loyalty. We've got evidence to gather. Todd's gaze fell to the floor, emotion raw. Thank you, he whispered. They set to work, calls were made, texts sent, a plan hatched to confront Noah's lies head-on. In the days that followed, a tiny revolution stirred on Coronation Street. Rita contacted a reporter friend. Carla dug through CCTV archives. Jim confronted the cafe staff, who had witnessed the date. Billy gathered character statements from parishioners, who vouched for Todd's gentle nature. Each piece chipped away at Noah's narrative. Whispered gossip reversed direction. Maybe Todd was defending Theo. I heard Noah's friend has a grudge. Momentum built until the community murmured with doubt. Under mounting pressure, the police agreed to review the case. An interview was scheduled at the station, but this time Todd would not face it alone. Theo and Billy accompanied him, carrying the dossier of evidence. As they approached the glass doors of the precinct, Todd felt nerves like icy fingers. Theo squeezed his hand, Billy's presence steadied him. They entered together, unwavering. But the battle was not over. Noah, exposed and humiliated, retreated into silence, nursing wounded pride. Todd and Theo returned to Coronation Street to face a changed world. Some doors opened with apologies, others remained closed. Rita offered the flat above the cabin, Jim reinstated Todd at the taxi office, Carla brought flowers and gossip, Billy, ever watchful, kept a vigil both spiritual.